In the dark, icy waters of the Atlantic Ocean on the night of April 14, 1912, history was forever etched into the fabric of human memory. A ship hailed as the pinnacle of human achievement, the RMS Titanic, was on her maiden voyage. Among the 2,200 souls aboard, one would go on to become one of the most enduring witnesses to this tragedy, a 7-year-old girl named Eva Hart. Eva Hart, the 7-year-old girl who lived to tell Titanic's tale. Eva Hart was born on January 31, 1905 in Ilford, England. The daughter of Benjamin and Esther Hart, she lived a life filled with the optimism of a new century. Her father, a cabinet maker by trade, sought opportunity in Canada, and the family decided to emigrate. In April 1912, they boarded the Titanic, the largest and most luxurious ship of its time. For Eva, it was the beginning of an adventure, one that would forever change her life. The Titanic was a marvel of engineering, its name synonymous with grandeur and invincibility. Stretching 882 feet from bow to stern, its construction involved 3,000 workers, and its designers claimed it to be practically unsinkable. Yet as the iceberg loomed ahead, those words would become a bitter irony. Eva Hart and her parents were second-class passengers, a middle ground between the opulence of the first-class elite and the cramped quarters of steerage. The Hart family settled into their cabin, their excitement tempered by Esther Hart's unease. Eva's mother had a premonition, a gnawing sense of foreboding, and refused to sleep at night during the voyage. She believed it was tempting fate, Eva later recounted. She said that only God could make something unsinkable, and to proclaim such a thing was arrogant. For young Eva, the Titanic was a wonderland. She roamed the decks, marveling at its scale and splendor. The dining saloons, the grand staircase, and the endless corridors provided an exciting backdrop to her journey. It was a world where she felt like a princess, unaware of the storm gathering on the horizon. Eva's days aboard the ship were filled with the simple joys of childhood, exploring the ship, making friends, and basking in the glow of her father's warm humor. She later described him as a happy, cheerful man who was always making jokes. But beneath the surface of this idyllic voyage lay a shadow. Her mother's anxiety was palpable, and it was her vigilance that would ultimately save Eva's life. At 11:40 p.m. on April 14, 1912, the Titanic struck an iceberg.
Because nothing is unsinkable.
Absolutely.
The collision was so subtle that most passengers felt little more than a slight shudder. But in the hours that followed, the unthinkable unfolded. The ship, once thought indestructible, began to sink. Eva's father woke the family and led them to the upper deck. He wrapped me in a blanket, Eva recalled, and he said, "Hold your mother's hand and be a good girl." Benjamin Hart placed his wife and daughter in lifeboat number 14, ensuring their safety before stepping back into the crowd. It was the last time Eva and her mother would see him. Eva Hart's memories of the sinking were vivid and haunting. From the lifeboat, she watched as the Titanic's lights flickered and then went out. She heard the cries of the drowning, a sound that would echo in her mind for the rest of her life. The screams were terrible, she said in later years. Even as a child, I couldn't forget that. Hours later, as dawn broke over the icy expanse, Eva and the other survivors were rescued by the RMS Carpathia. She clung to her mother, both of them numb with shock and grief. The magnitude of their loss became clear as they arrived in New York and began their journey back to England. Benjamin Hart, like over 500 others, had perished in the freezing waters of the Atlantic. The Titanic disaster shaped the rest of Eva Hart's life. Though she rarely spoke of it during her early years, the memories were never far from her mind. She pursued a career as a singer and later worked as a magistrate. But as time passed, she became a vocal advocate for preserving the memory of the Titanic and its lessons. In the latter half of the 20th century, interest in the Titanic surged. Eva Hart emerged as one of the most eloquent and compelling voices among the survivors. She shared her story with historians, journalists, and audiences around the world, emphasizing the human cost of hubris and the importance of preparedness. She was particularly critical of the lack of lifeboats on the Titanic, a decision born of vanity and complacency. The ship was beautiful, but they sacrificed safety for luxury, she often said. It was an avoidable tragedy. Eva Hart's testimony was more than a recounting of events. It was a moral call to remember and learn. She believed the Titanic's story was not just about the loss of life, but about the fragility of human ambition when divorced from humility and responsibility. Her recollections provided a rare glimpse into the disaster from a child's perspective. She spoke of her father's courage, her mother's foresight, and the resilience of the human spirit. Through her words, the tragedy of the Titanic was brought to life for generations who had only known it through history books and films. Eva lived to see the wreck of the Titanic discovered in 1985, a moment she greeted with mixed emotions. She supported efforts to study the site but strongly opposed the removal of artifacts, which she saw as a violation of a mass grave. Eva Hart passed away on February 14, 1996, at the age of 91. She left behind a legacy not only as a survivor, but as a witness to one of history's greatest maritime disasters. Her life was a testament to courage, resilience, and the enduring power of memory. Through her words, the Titanic remains not just a sunken ship, but a story of dreams and devastation, of human error and human strength. Eva Hart's voice ensured that the lessons of that fateful night would not be forgotten. In the end, Eva Hart was more than a survivor. She was a guardian of history. Through her eyes, we see not just the tragedy of the Titanic, but the triumph of the human spirit, a spirit that rises even from the depths of despair. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution.